there?
No. Put me between you guys so you'd behave.
I'm sorry?
Did they put me between you two so you'd behave?
So you keep both of us in order, in line, right?
Good luck with that one.
That's gonna
Good
stop
luck
her.
with that one. I just noticed this is the second time I've been between you two. That's
Oh,
what's
really?
It's okay.
Did you finally heal from the first time?
like- Yeah, I did. It helped that I lived with four brothers, so.
The clock's fast.
It is.
I'd like to call the Wednesday, August 9th, 2023 Planning Board meeting to order. Would you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Booyah. Okay, I will then now open the citizens' open forum. Anyone wishing to speak on any item on their minds has 5 minutes at the podium. Please state your name and address for the record. Anyone wish to speak? Please join.
Hi there, Kristen Garcia, City Clerk, 100 State Street West, Oldsmar, if that is permissible. So I'm here tonight just to brief update the board on just a few items I had. Coming up in January, Kathy and I are planning on having an evening in the sunshine for all of our boards. This will be a sunshine law class held by one of our city attorneys for all the boards, and that will be on January 18th. So we will be sending a save the date soon. There will be refreshments. It'll be an evening class, probably around 6 p.m. And right now we're planning for January 18th right in this room. We have also looked into and purchased planning officials training program with the American Planning Association. I have the links in my email, and I will be sending that out to the board this week, or Kathy will be sending it out soon, and it will have links to videos for the planning board to go through and review, and lots of information in there. So please, if you have any questions, ask us. Tatiana will also have it, so I'll be sending it to planning staff soon for them to review. And then lastly, just an update, council in September will be discussing board appointment procedures. So that we are looking at the September 20th, I believe was our motion. They will be discussing board appointment procedures at that meeting. And then that's the 3 updates I had for you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions? Board? Feel free to throw them. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next item on the agenda is swearing-in process. Anyone wishing to speak and giving testimony tonight, please stand and raise and swear.
Do you swear the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I seek approval of the minutes dated July 12, 2023.
I recommend approval.
Here, second, please.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And nay, motion carried. Item 2. we will hear from, I guess, the planning board, or the planning department, PLT 2302-201 Bayview Consulting replat and public hearing.
Yes, good evening. Tatiana Childress, City of Oldsmar Planning and Redevelopment Department. So this is, sorry, wrong item. This is case PLT 2303, replat of 201 South Bayview Boulevard. A little bit of a background on this project. So on October 18th, 2022, City Council approved case SP 2202, authorizing the proposed site plan for 3,865 square foot one-story office building at the corner of State Road 580 and South Bayview Boulevard in the Town Center Commercial Neighborhood District zoning district. This office will be offering a full-service design, consulting, and application services for lighting. The existing site consists of 9 originally platted lots. A replat is required by the Land Development Code for commercial sites consisting of multiple existing lots to proper document the future building site, combining multiple existing lots into indivisible parcel associated with the proposed building. This is a request for a consolidation replat of 9 existing lots into a combined single 0.52 acre lot in the Town Center Commercial Neighborhood District, located at the corner of State Road 580 and South Bayview Boulevard. Staff reviewed the application during July 2023 TRC meeting. The conformity review was initiated per Florida Statute 177-081. City has not received any letters of objection from any of the utility companies, and staff recommends approval. Staff recommends that the planning board evaluate and submit a recommendation to the city council on the replat of 201 South Bayview Boulevard.
Does the board have any questions of staff, starting with Pat?
She didn't hear you. She didn't hear you.
Pat?
Oh, I'm sorry, no, I didn't hear you. No, it's
Do
me.
you have any questions of
No, I don't. I'm okay.
Ross? No.
No questions.
Of course I do. In the figure for the proposed building that's there, I'm assuming that this is not to scale, because the question that I had was, is this a front view and a rear view, or what is this?
Figure 4 shows actually the back view. So on your slide here, if you look on the TV, this is the front.
That's the front view, okay.
Actually, no, figure 4, so the top picture in your staff report, I believe this is the front. So the top picture, this is the front.
Okay. My question was, it's a one-story building, I understand it's a one-story building, but I don't know, maybe the perspective of the drawing is off or something. This looks like it's more than a two-story building on here, or is
So
that
the
just a
district-
facade, or what is
The
it?
district requires you to be kind of like a 2-story building, so they're not exceeding the maximum building height of the TCCN district, which is 55 feet.
Okay,
It's permitted in the
okay.
CRA and the TCCN district. It is just a 1-story building, but because of the parapet, because we have certain architectural guidelines in the CRA that we have to adhere, so the design was proposed as with the taller parapet walls, and that's what the newer buildings all look like, so.
Yeah, I knew all of that, and I read everything, and I thought, it is, but I guess the picture kind of threw me off.
I see.
So that was that was my
1 story
problem.
only, yes. Thank you.
I don't have any questions.
I have a question, Tatiana. The alley behind, is that going to be maintained by this owner, or is it just an easement. Because there was an alley, in one of these drawings labeled alley, but it's not here on these, what I see.
It is shown on this aerial, so you can see that there is a 20-foot alleyway in the back.
Is it developed unpaved? Is it drainage? I
It will
remember
be-
once
So
sometime.
it will be unpaved, so this will be, alleyway is like a right-of-way, so it's just unpaved street, it's paper street we call them, so,
Right.
or paper alley. It is grass at this point, so nobody is proposing any pervious on that alleyway, so
Who maintains it?
normally, that would be, if it's a right-of-way in front of your home, then you would be required to maintain any right-of-way, additional right-of-way in front of your home. In the back, I'm not quite sure, so I think we also applied that to the rear of your property, so if you have like an easement or anything else, or portion of the so if you didn't have a fence in there, for instance, the homeowner would probably maintain, but because there is a fence in there, I'm not sure. I can get back with you on that.
I recall the homeowner on the corner once had come to council and complained about the condition of that area behind her home, how it was a mess, didn't drain right. And I don't know if anyone ever looked into it or not, this was years ago. But it's in my memory, and if now we're developing this, if that's not attended to, they will suffer from this development.
I will double check with the Public Works Department and the streets.
Thank you. Just, otherwise, I have no questions. I finally found out what this building's going to be. I'll be driving by it, and it's like, finally. So, that being said, no more questions for Tatiana. Now, do we have any questions from the applicant? Is the applicant here?
Yes.
Does anyone have any questions of the applicant?
She does.
Then we have to open a public hearing. If the board has no questions of the applicant? Then now I will open a public hearing. I open a public hearing to this issue. Anyone from this public wish to speak on this item? Yes, I do. Please come to and identify yourself with your name and address and speak your mind.
Before we do that,
Oh.
can we make sure that the applicant didn't want to make a presentation? Did you, sir, did you wish to make a presentation? Okay, thank you.
Darn, I missed that one. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Julia Jackson, and I am the resident who is behind that building.
Thought you looked familiar.
And actually, yeah, it's kind of hard for me to be here, but anyway, actually, we maintain that area, and we will continue to maintain that area. We cut the grass, we don't let it overgrow. As far as drainage is concerned, we haven't had any issues this year, and I'm hoping that we still won't have any issues. Also, my question now would be to you. When the build was first started, or the fence was first put up around the property, there were some of the contractors, I guess, on my property as well, and they came out and asked me, hey, we need to be on your property for 1 week. Is that okay? But it has been more than 1 week.
Are you the corner property?
I'm the corner property.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
We need you at the microphone, please.
Yeah, we
I
can't.
guess you
Oh,
need to have this
I'm so
discussion
sorry.
where we can record it.
I'm
Please
sorry.
come up.
I apologize. So yeah, after the bill started, I saw some of the contractors out in my backyard. I went out to ask them, hey, why are you here? They said, we need to be on your property. Is it okay? Because they needed to put down that, I don't know if it's a manhole or something they put there.
That is to tie into the sanitary sewer, and I believe that's actually in the 20-foot alleyway.
Okay, so they're still on my property. I don't have a problem with that, but when they tell me 1 week, and then it's for more than 1 week, and I'm like, okay, so just be honest, that's all. Say it's gonna be for the entirety of the bill. Even if it is, I don't know, 5 feet or whatever. I just want honesty, that's all.
I can ask if the fence be pulled back if it's on your property, but I believe that fence and that manhole tie-in is in the alleyway, and it's not on anybody's property.
It is.
But we can definitely pull it back for you.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, thank you. But again, we will maintain that grass.
Ms. Jackson?
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Before you sit down, could I please have your address for the record?
yes, ma'am, it is 142 Dartmouth Avenue West.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Seeing no other request to speak in the public hearing, anybody speaking in favor, anybody speaking in opposition? Any written comments received? No. Everyone has spoken, then I shall close the public hearing. And public hearing is now closed. I will ask for a motion to send to the city council in regards to the review and evaluation and review of this project. I seek a motion.
Make a motion
Explain the motion.
to move the plat 2303-201 Bayview Consulting replat and public hearing up to the city council for consideration.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Is it a roll call, Kathy, please?
Sure.
Please proceed.
Board Member Sock?
Aye.
Board Member Harvey?
William Harvey, who's that?
Board Member Harvey?
I'm sorry, I just had to say that. Aye, favor.
Board Member Janakis?
Aye.
Board Member Roundhouse?
Aye.
Board Member Pelletier?
Aye.
Chair Rambour?
Aye.
Motion to recommend approval to the City Council on 201 Bayview Consulting replat is approved with 6 votes for and 0 against.
Thank you. Item number 3, the City of Oldsmar 2022 concurrency report and public hearing. Tatiana, you have the floor.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So this is our 2022 annual concurrency test statement. The intent and purpose of concurrency is to ensure that public facilities and services needed to support development are available concurrent with the impacts of such development and to ensure that development will not degrade the level of service. An annual submittal of a concurrency test statement by the Planning and Redevelopment Department to the city manager is required by Section 11.2.2 of the Land Development Code. The statement, after review by the Planning Board, shall be conveyed to the City Council for adoption by resolution. This statement provides the expected impacts of approved developments on the city's public facilities and services and the remaining capacities. The following list includes public facilities and services for which level of service standards have been adopted or best management practices established: transportation facilities, potable water, sanitary sewer, solid waste, parks and recreation, and drainage. So, in the fiscal year 2021-2022, for which this concurrency test statement is proposed, we only had one development that was approved, which was Wendy's Restaurant, which was just recently opened, located at 4066 Tampa Road. The site included 41, the entire site area is 41, almost 1 acre site. The building area was a restaurant of 2,327 square feet. It included 22 parking spaces, and this graphic already indicate the existing, the new building. So it's not the proposed graphics. These are the actual the actual built site. Since this development, it was approved as a site plan, and what we're reviewing here is the site plan applications for concurrency. But because it was an existing building and they did not introduce any new seating, the occupancy rate was the same, and their water and sewer demand, as well as the trip generations, they were the same because it's like same building, same square footage. They did not increase anything, but it was a complete rebuild, so it had to go through as a site plan application. But basically, they didn't create any new impacts because the restaurant has been there since I remember. And I've been in the city for 20 years. So the other three items that we review currently is water, sewer, drainage, and transportation. So overall, the city has 5,652 potable water connections with an average daily use of 1.376 million gallons per day. The capacity used today is at 69%. The city has an average daily use of wastewater of 1.62 million gallons per day and the capacity of 72%. The city also reviews each development proposal for compliance with the stormwater management regulations. Each project is required to provide a drainage plan and provide for the adequate disposal of water and protection of adjoining properties from damage due to stormwater runoff. All large commercial developments are required to comply with the city stormwater regulations as well as Southwest Florida Water Management District when applicable. The following slide includes level of service and deficient roadways located within the city of Oldsmar. This report was obtained from Forward Pinellas 2022 annual traffic report. And I just wanted to mention that the data collected on which this report was based is based on the 2022 data. So in this particular chart, table, you will see that Forest Lakes, the segment of Forest Lakes Boulevard from Pine Avenue to Hillsborough County line is still indicating the two-lane facility, how it used to be prior to widening, and that's why it's indicated as a failing as F on this table. The newer version of the report, which will come out in November of 2023, indicating that 2022 will probably have the four-lane facility. As you can see, the only other failing road is Forest Lakes Boulevard from Tampa Road to State Road 580. This segment of Forest Lake is currently under the design with Forward Pinellas County. But from what I understand, it's not funded at this point. So we have the same information as last year. We have two transit operating within the city of Oldsmar, so we have Route 67 and Route 812. And regarding parks and recreation, the list of facilities is provided in your report, and we also have this fancy graphic that you can refer to for location of all the city parks and facilities. These are our planning cases that we have approved within the time frame. And staff recommends approval. We recommend the City Council adopt the 2022 concurrency test statement in accordance with Land Development Code, Section 11.2.2.2, concurrency test statement and monitoring system. Thank you.
Thank you, Tatiana. Did anyone on the board have any questions for Tatiana, starting with Pat?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
No questions.
Questions?
No questions.
Bob?
Nope, thank you.
Whoa.
No questions.
And none from me. Thank you, Tatiana.
Thank you.
Nice fancy graphic.
Thank you.
I seek a motion to send the concurrence report to City Council as presented to us. For
Have a
review and
public
approval.
hearing first.
I'll make a motion for the City of Oldsmar 2022 concurrency report and public hearing to be approved and moved on to City Council.
Thank you. A second, please?
Second.
All in favor? What,
Public hearing, just in case.
is this require a public hearing?
I believe so.
Yes?
I believe so.
Well, then I'll open this to the floor to, I'll open a public hearing in this matter. Anyone wish to speak for or against this matter? Seeing none, I close the public hearing.
Thank you.
Call for a vote.
Board Member Sock?
Aye.
Board Member Harvey?
Aye.
Board Member Janakis?
Aye.
Board Member Roundhouse?
Aye.
Board Member Pelletier?
Aye.
Chairman Brewer?
Aye.
The motion to recommend that the City Council adopt the 2022 concurrency report is approved, 6 votes for and 0 against.
That concludes the agenda items for tonight's meeting. I have new business I would like to address to the board related. The planning board, according to the code, we have the general definitions, we have establishment of procedures, establishment of composition, qualifications, members, vacancies, attendance, removal, compensation, proceedings, officers voting, rules of procedure, meetings, quorum, minutes, public records, conduct of members, and financial assistance, and required legal notices. Those are just the headlines. It came to my attention and everyone else's attention from last week's agenda that the city clerk had put forth an item to address the appointment method that we utilize for board members. Well, that got me fired up. So I went and read the code, and it says the qualifications that you live here and you can vote. That's it. Pretty simple. And historically, and this is, I wrote a letter to the city clerk and I copied council and assisted city clerk. Greetings. As the chair of the planning board, I would request this item be floored and a work session be scheduled to discuss the best method of candidate selection, or let the planning board continue choosing the applicants as they have always done. Code of Ordinance, Section 3.9.2.1, Establishment and Composition, and 3.92.2 defines the qualifications of members. Using this criteria, the planning board has historically interviewed applicants, then chooses the applicant to be presented to council for final approval by date of application. All applicants not chosen are then encouraged to stay engaged in city affairs, and if they are still interested in volunteering, they will be next in line. This has worked for the planning board for many years, and as far as I know, has been effective. How do you rank a volunteer, I ask? We use the code. Thank you. Now, this is the way we've kind of always done it. And I know you guys waited in line, and you got up here and talked to us, and well, you were first, you're it. You know, you were second, you're it. And you seemed to be okay with that. And you waited, and you stayed engaged, and you came to the meetings, and you never, to me, I never got the impression that it was a bad way to do it. And so that's the way we kind of have always done it, and I kind of always want to do that. Now, to qualify it, now we're lay people, right? We're not trained in planning. We know what's best for the city, and that's the way it's always been. Going back to the ancient days of Bob Harvey's planning board horse and buggy sessions. So this letter wasn't read out loud at the council meeting, but they did choose to floor it for the September 20th meeting, which the city clerk had mentioned earlier in the meeting. Now, I have added this as new business to get your feedback as to, am I off base on this, or is this the best way we should stand by this, or do we have any input to give to council when they discuss this on September 20th?
What are they looking to change?
They want to rate us was the thing. Now, Jerry Beeman got up how do you rate a volunteer?
Yeah.
You can't rate a volunteer, and thank you, Jerry, and that's why, according to the code, there's no rating. You live here and you vote, and you're interested. You have the city at heart. That's the rule, that's the win, right? And that's what the way we all are doing it. That's why we're here, right? And the great dinners Kathy put. I'm not going to say the RC word.
Okay.
Rubber chickens. I hit it. But the glory is in the volunteering, in the serving. That's what we do it for. Now, how could you rate? Got me. I didn't go to planning board school. Yeah, we've made some mistakes maybe. I don't know. I remember once when we felt strongly about an issue and we said no, and we got some feedback from the mayor saying, what a bunch of, they need training. I went, what?
Right.
I took umbrage with that remark. So if you think we should change something, please put your thoughts in order or in some type of memo email it to the council, or say it out loud here, or say, well, maybe as you feed it through me as the chair,
No.
and, what?
You should not talk to each other even through email? You can
No,
send
No,
it to
here.
us?
That's what we're
Oh,
doing
through
it
here,
here.
okay, okay. Just clarifying.
Yeah.
Sunshine
I'm
law
trying to
for a-
keep you
for
out
a
of
planning
trouble.
board, give me a break. But let's not go there.
Okay.
We're quasi judicial, why, how's that apply to us? But that's a whole nother argument. So if you have any feedback on this, please,
Well, from my perspective, okay, I feel like that if you take it upon yourself to fill out the form, to volunteer, to come before us and say, you know, I'd like to serve on the board, that's enough for me. That's enough for me to say, okay, this person is interested in doing something. Now, the other side of that is, over the years, we all know that we have seen people come here to use this board as a stepping stone. And that's not uncommon in any municipality. Planning is where the upper echelon comes from. Isn't that right, Tatiana? Yep, they always do. And my wife, I can attest, my wife is one of them. She's been a bureaucrat for years and years and years, and she was in planning, and she went up the ladder. Well, she didn't go all the way, but she went up the ladder from planning. So, you know, we've had people come here, serve on the board, had some come here and not serve on the board and still use this as a stepping stone. I don't really have any problem with that, because if you do say, how can I put this? If you do say, we don't think you're, I don't know, I can't put it into words, but kind of like, I've had doubts before about people who stood up here. I never said anything about my doubts, because it's not appropriate, in my opinion.
you mean people who have been on the board, volunteering on the board, or you, doubts about that?
I have doubts.
Are there motives, or?
I've had doubts about them wanting to serve on the board. What I've had doubts about is, I think they want to have the planning board history on their
gotcha.
resume.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
I understand.
And that's happened more than once over the years.
And that's a personal item on their part, I think.
That's exactly right. That's what it is. And there's been several times when I felt that way, but I'm not gonna say anything. Of course not. You know, I mean, that's discrimination, and
It makes room for the next guy, but it'll be higher turnover, because boom,
Sure.
they're gone,
Sure.
because their motives were met.
Sure.
So,
But I personally have, I have absolutely no problem with the way that we've been doing it. I think it's worked. You know, we've always had a pretty good board.
And we've always had people lined up.
Yeah.
And Kathy, I asked Kathy earlier, are there anybody in the line? And she goes, yeah, but we're holding off, right?
Well,
So-
until this is
Yeah.
decided. Can I just say, one of the reasons we're looking at this is because each board seems to have a different procedure. All the boards are appointing or recommending their appointees differently. So we want to have a consistent policy across all the boards, so there's no question. And it streamlines things, it makes it easier for us, makes it cleaner, just to have everybody doing it the same way. I'm just gonna say, you are the only board that recommends the first in line. There's some other boards that interview their people, ask deep questions, and then prioritize, I don't wanna say rank them, but decide who they think is the best fit, and then they recommend that person, which is difficult. It's difficult to sit up here and do something like that. So we're just trying to make it consistent across all of our 6 boards.
Well, according to section 392.2, which I didn't expand, but it says members shall be chosen from among persons in a position to represent the public interest. That's any citizen. So, I mean, that simplifies it. And I thought there was something in there that we govern ourselves, but I'd have to take a moment and reread this. No salaries, that one's. Oh, I wanted to make a request. Did anybody have any special cookies they want to have at the board meetings? Because we do have an expense account.
We do?
Kathy's shaking her head.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in here. I guess it's little known.
I also
The
have,
city council shall make available to the planning board such funds and expenses as necessary to the conduct of meeting board work. That's cookies, right?
Well, we're here, we're using their equipment, so.
And I fall to faceticism there, but, the planning board shall adopt rules of procedure necessary to its governance and the conduct of its affairs in keeping within the applicable provisions of Florida law and code. That means we make our own rules within guidelines, right?
Sure, yeah.
So we should be able to maintain the system of choice that we currently have without
Yeah.
I mean-
guidance from above.
I mean, like both of you said, I mean, with the way we've done it in years past, and we can all attest to this, that the system does seem to have been working, you know, in regards to getting the applicant to come up. We see the application accordingly. You know, we want the best interest of the citizens. That's what our main goal is in regards to being the advocate and being the voice of the citizens. You know, if there's something wrong, we address it. We want to get it out in the forum, especially with this being recorded, then the citizens have an opportunity to hear that. That's the same with the applicants. The citizens also get to hear those applicants too that are coming to forward and saying, you know, here's the reason why I want to be on the board accordingly, you know? So I do think currently it is working. I mean, over the years it has been, but I do agree with like Bob's statement. There's some very accurate statements he made, you know, in regards to how other ones have come and gone and accordingly, yourself, I mean, look, that's a pillar. I mean, you can't get with the number of years, years for yourself too. I mean,
Well,
but
I resemble the remark too, because I did join the planning board at one time back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Because they said, join the planning board to get on council. And I did that. I was one of those guys.
yeah.
Yeah. But thank you.
Yeah, and we've had some planning board members who did just, they weren't necessarily using this as a stepping stone, but it turned out to be a natural. Janice, God rest her soul, was, you know, she was here for several years, you
Vice
know.
mayor currently. is
Yeah,
one of them,
you
too.
know, yeah, true. And, yeah, so
So then I have y'all's permission, so to speak, informally,
Yeah.
to stand by that letter that I had written.
just another thing, and this is a personal thing on my part. I've always taken the attitude that we are a board of citizens. My wife is a planner, so I have some insight that maybe some of you do or do not have. I don't know what I do or not. But I do not bring any of that to this meeting, because in this meeting, I'm a citizen. I'm just a citizen, and I'm just expressing my opinion from a citizen's point. And I think that's what we get, that's what we all get. You know, that's what we all do. And I think that's the way it should be. And I don't know, I'm happy with what we've been doing.
Thank you.
Obviously, I've been here forever.
Well, the victims, the two latest victims of this system are you two.
Yeah,
I mean, you had to wait, right? And, you know, yours was a month ahead of yours, I believe.
Yeah.
When we interviewed you, and it's like, well, you know, thanks both of you, but just by date alone.
Right.
But it didn't take long for yours to roll around.
Right,
and-
I agree with what you say, that the law, the code is the law, and that's all it says.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
But
pretty
I
simple.
also, I kind of understand what their motive behind what they're looking for, so I don't know if that just requires, maybe we should ask more questions to make sure somebody's not,
Well,
somebody really has the city at
if
interest.
we think that we need more education in planning, that kind of makes us quasi-professional.
Yeah.
Which is, but the city clerk has brought forth a thing that we might be able to take a class to get an overview to make us more effective. Well, that's great, and I don't find us ineffective to begin with, and all we do is just send a recommendation. They don't have to agree or not, and a lot of times they go, we don't, yeah, we're gonna make our own decision anyway, we're the council. Well, that's cool, I mean, we're advisory, and I get that. But if we have an opportunity, as the city clerk has presented, that, okay, we can take an online something class to give us some edification on planning, well, that's got to be a benefit in the long run. But there's no way that if I got a D on it, I'm going to be rated. I don't think there's grades, but, so, okay, thank you. That's it. That's what I had.
Let me say one more thing.
Go ahead.
Years and years ago, when I first joined the planning board had some actual authority. Basically, if you didn't get past the planning board, you didn't go to city council. I always made fun of the planning director at that time because he didn't like that because it took some of the power away from him.
Nick
And
Sasko.
I always made fun of him because he got it. Well, he didn't have anything to do with getting it changed. It was a state law that got it changed. But I always did have fun accusing him of taking power away from us. But and back then it was different. Back then, I think selection should have been maybe a little bit more.
There's a lot of growth going on there.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
A lot of items going to before the board.
And now, I mean, Oldsmar's almost pretty much in a system of redevelopment now, Tatiana? Yeah. So that's, I still say it again, I'm very happy. I have no
Thank you.
desire to change anything.
Thank you for your input. I will then stick by, oh, yes, please, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was just going to say, excuse me, I think it goes back to what Kathy said. Other boards aren't doing the same. I understand the consistency, the need for consistency, but I don't think this plan is broken. I don't know what the others do. I know you said sometimes in depth and then they choose someone who was fourth in line versus first in line.
I've heard stories.
Anyways, I think that the way we have it set up, I'm grateful to be on this board. I'm not using it as a stepping stone. I'm way too old. I'm content just being here because I love my city and I want to help. But I think that's your problem from what I'm hearing is other boards are doing it different ways. So I think it's probably the consistency, but I strongly believe and stand on the fact that we stay the way we're doing it. And
I
that's
don't
it.
see how they can really, unless they change in the code, how they can modify it too drastically to affect what we're interested in maintaining. Okay, that being said, I seek a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.